Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I will show you how to code this SVG animation with CSS and JavaScript. As you can see, when you first click on the heart, the SVG gets outlined and then beat twice. When you click again, it then loses its color and stroke. You could, for example, use this on a social media site where you could add this animation below the posts, like here. So let's start coding. To start off, I have the basics of the project set up. I have an HTML file with the style sheet and script files linked. The body also contains a div element with the ID of container. All we need to add is the SVG. I got this heart SVG from heroicons.com, where you can find many other ones as well. Having found the right icon, I can just copy it and paste the code into my HTML file. I want to make some adjustments though. We don't need these classes or the fill attribute. Also, the stroke width can be removed. The properties stroke, line cap, and line join you can leave if you want. I'll quickly explain what they mean. Stroke line cap equals round makes the edges of the path rounded, as you can see here. Stroke line join, on the other hand, defines that the joints in the path should be rounded, as shown here. I will remove it from this tutorial, but again, feel free to leave it in if you prefer this look. Let's do the styling next. To save time, I will paste some basic code in that doesn't really relate to the CSS animation and go through it. So, in the root, I am saving two colors in variables as we are going to reuse these throughout the style sheet. To the container, I am assigning a height of 100 VH to ensure it stretches the visible height of the browser window. I am using CSS Flexbox to center the SVG in the middle of the page. Then I am selecting the SVG by its ID heart. Let me quickly check if I have actually assigned this ID to the element. I forgot, so I'll add that now. And we can also remove the stroke equals current color. So back to the style, I have given the SVG a width, made the stroke color magenta, and filled it with our gray color. I am starting Live Server, a VS Code extension that will automatically reload the page for me when I save changes. And this is what the SVG looks like at the moment. Next, I want to know the length of the Svg path that you can see here in magenta. We can use JavaScript for that. In the script.js file, I am assigning the event DOM content loaded to the window to ensure the following code we add only gets executed when the complete DOM has finished loading. I am selecting the path of the SVG with the document query selector. In it, I specify that I want to select the path child element of the SVG with the ID of heart. Then I am just going to console log the length, which I can do by calling the getTotalLength inbuilt JavaScript function on the path. Let's save it and check the result in the console. You can open the console in Chrome by right-clicking and then clicking on Inspect. This will bring up the DevTools. Under Console, you should see one user message. In my case, it has printed the number 53.75 and so on. I will simply round it up to 54. Keep a note of this number as we will need it later. To make it easier to explain the next part, I am quickly rearranging my setup so you can see the live result and the code next to each other. Okay, so to create our SVG animation, we need to add two CSS properties to the heart. The first is stroke-dasharray. With this property, you can change the stroke of the SVG from solid to dashed. For example, if I set it to 1, you can see that our path now is dashed. The bigger the number specified here, the bigger the gap. I want the gaps to be as long as the path itself, so I'm going to put 54 here. This will make more sense in a minute. The next property is stroke-offset. This one basically specifies how far away from the starting point the path should begin. If, for example, I say 5, the stroke will be pushed 5 units away from the starting point. If I add 54 here, it will be pushed back by its whole length, meaning we won't see it at all. And that is what I want. The reason for this is that I want to animate the stroke-offset from 54 to 0. This way it will slowly appear and we get the outline effect that you have seen at the beginning. So let's do the animation next. I am defining our like animation with add keyframes, and then I'm just giving it the name like. At 0%, so at the beginning of the animation, the stroke-offset should be 54. At the end, so at 100%, it should be 0. Let's try it out by assigning the animation to the SVG. Again, I will copy-paste to save some time. I am using the animation shorthand property. I am saying here that the animation should last 2 seconds, that the animation timing function should be ease-in, so that it is slower at the beginning than at the end. The animation fill mode should be forwards, so that the heart retains the final state when the animation finishes. Finally, I am adding the name of the animation. When I save this, you can see that the heart gets outlined. Next, I want to change the color from gray to magenta on the fill as well. For this, I am adding a further stop at 70% and the fill property to the animation. At the beginning, the fill should be gray. Until 70%, it should remain gray, but the offset should change to 0. This is because I want the outline to finish first, and only then should the color change. At 100%, the fill should then change to magenta. Let's save it to see the result. Okay, now let's add the beating animation. For this, I am creating a separate CSS animation with the name beat. To create the beating effect, we can alter the size of the SVG by using transform, scale. At 0%, I want it to be its current width and height. By adding scale 1, 1, I am saying make the width and the height of the element 100%. At 50%, I want to decrease this to 90% of its current width and height, so I can use scale 0.9, 0.9. At 100%, I want it to revert to its original size, so to 100%. Let's assign this to the heart SVG as well. I can add on another animation by putting a comma and defining the new rules for the second one. So for the beat animation, I want its duration to be 0.8 seconds. The speed should stay the same throughout, so for the timing function, I am setting linear. The 2 seconds means that it should start with a delay of 2 seconds. I want the heart to beat twice, so by adding 2 here, it will repeat itself. And again, I am adding forward here. Now, we only need an animation to unlike the heart. To save time, again, I am copy-pasting in code. It is quite similar to the previous one. So at 0%, I want the offset to be 0, so the complete outline is visible. The fill should be magenta. At 30%, I still want to see the outline, but the fill should be gray. And then at 100%, the outline should also disappear, and we should be left with a gray heart. To have the like and unlike effect, I only want the animations to run when a specific class is applied to the SVG. So if the heart SVG has a like class attached to it, I want the like and beat animation to run. And if there is an unlike class attached, I want the unlike animation to run. Let's quickly create the rules for this. Here, it is important that there is no space between #heart and .like. This selector selects the heart element if it has the like class applied to it. If you, on the other hand, add a space between the two, the selector will instead mean select the like element that is a child of the heart element. That's it for the CSS. We now only need to add a few lines of JavaScript to dynamically apply the like and unlike classes, and then we are done. To begin, you can remove the following 2 lines of code as we no longer need it. Instead, I am selecting the hard SVG by using document.getElementById. Next, I want to create the like-unlike post function, which will apply the 2 classes to the SVG. Within the if statement, I am checking if the SVG already contains the like class. If it does, I want to remove it and instead add the unlike class. On the other hand, if it does not have the like class, add it and remove the unlike class. Finally, I want this like-unlike post function to always be called when the user clicks on the SVG. We can achieve this with a click event listener. Now, let's see if it works. The class gets applied when I click on it. But the unlike class doesn't work, so I have done a mistake somewhere. Let's check if the dislike class is getting applied in the console. If I click on the SVG, I can see that it is. So the error must be in the CSS file. And yes, I typed forward instead of forwards. Sorry about that. Let's test it again. And now it works. This is it for this tutorial. If you like this video, please subscribe. I regularly post front-end web development videos. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.